Greetings everyone to the first episode in the Silent Film Marathon, and this will be a Masters of Cinema review, and we're going to be looking at one of the most devastating films ever made, and especially so of the silent film era, and that is The Passion of Joan of Arc. This film came out in 1928 and is directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer, who'd go on to make films like Ordette, which he is also famous for. For those not familiar with who Joan of Arc is, she's a famous 15th century figure who led an army during the 100 Years' War in France. And basically this film follows her final moments before her execution because she was charged for heresy. So the film is about her trial. Joan is questioned, insulted, called a blasphemer and completely broken down, which makes it a truly devastating film to watch even today because of the human core that it actually has. As soon as you see Joan's face, her expressions throughout the film, as soon as you see her walk into the room, it's hard not to grow a deep sympathy for this character. And that's thanks to the mesmerising performance from Maria Falcinetti. An excellent portrayal, absolutely picture-perfect performance. It's never too melodramatic or too theatrical, and it's just honest and graceful. What I love most about the film is the editing, use of the camera, and the structure altogether of the film, which really reinforces the emotion that's in play. The film has several themes ranging from those of anti-religion to the cruelty of mankind, to put it quite simply. It's full of religious iconography and symbolism to make it a really compelling watch, and the more you know about religion, I guess the more compelling it would become. The important thing is, with that said, is Dreyer doesn't make a film that relies on the audience's religion, their religious knowledge or beliefs, in any way, because this film goes beyond just being a story of Joan of Arc being this iconic figure and an attack on religion. By this I mean, whether you're religious or you're not religious, the film goes beyond just telling a story that points the finger at the monastery and the religious structure that is in place. But it's a story of human tragedy, despair and cruelty. Several shots in the film show Joan being yelled at and shouted at by the men in the film, which is truly intimidating, and you can definitely hear the voices in your head, although the film is silent. As I was saying about the camera work and the editing, it's kind of reminiscent of Battleship Potemkin, the Russian film from Sergei Eisenstein in Russia in 1925, which is basically this montage editing style, which is fast-paced, cross-cutting action style. But here, we aren't seeing action, we're seeing close-ups of Joan's face, and close-ups to other people's face who are shouting at her, and this gives a tremendous sense of emotional involvement and impact in the film. Several camera angles are from Joan's point of view, looking up at the men, and it gives a real sense of dominance and power, which works as a representation of religious power in that sense. One scene involves Joan going to a torture chamber, where she then faints. Sorry if that's a bit of a spoiler. The editing in this scene is just brilliant, and it really draws you into the anxiety and the shock that this brings to Joan. With the montage editing, as I was saying, that's whenever all the tension starts to build up, and it really gives you that sense of dread as it's happening. Another thing this film could have become is a film capturing the war that was going on at the time, that time period and everything that was going on, because it's a very historical point in our world. So it's very historical. And that's how we know the film isn't trying to be political. It's a humanist story, and that's its core. There's loads more I want to say about the film and its themes. There's so many, in fact it would take more than one viewing, and even that second viewing that I did, to absorb everything that's there. All the symbolism and iconography of religion and dominance and just humanity itself. There's so many themes in there, which makes it a really great watch. Definitely one I want to watch again and again over the years. And maybe I'll make a future video analysing everything that's in the film. So yes, it's definitely a film that I would recommend, and while it's not an easy watch, it's one of the most powerful and unforgettable films. It's truly something to be seen. So let's move on to the specs of the Masters of Cinema release. This is absolutely one of my favourite Masters of Cinema releases, not only because it's a steelbook that looks absolutely fantastic, because of the booklet and the case. And the fact that I got this for £12 is an absolute bargain. But yes, although there isn't that many special features, it makes up for it with its 100-page booklet, and just being a very nice steelbook indeed. And we have 3 different versions of the film, one being 20 frames per second, 24 frames per second, and the other being the low duca version, which apparently the director doesn't like very much. So yes, that's the inside. Behind the disc you can see this picture, a cross, very symbolic. Yes, well, that's the inside, and as I said in a previous video, this is brilliant artwork. It really captures the film. Once you look at it at the end of the film, you know, you identify with her immediately. As I said, the 100-page booklet does make up for the fact that on the disc there is no special features other than the 3 different versions of the film and an example of the restoration, which I'll talk about in a second. But the booklet is quite interesting. I mean, this is the biggest booklet as far as I know for the Masters of Cinema releases, and it's full of lavish images, just brilliant images. You can see that there. And it's the back cover, some posters. The front has a poster of the film as well. And let's see, there's some great images in here. We've got her praying here. And there's a really great image in here I want to show of behind the scenes on the set of the film. There's one of the lights being set up. And here's the most fascinating one, because this is in a museum in France, I believe. And it's the model set that Dreyer made. Several pictures here actually of the set that was made for the Passion of Joan of Arc. And you can see them there. Just fascinating to see that so much effort went into making the film, even though that we don't see the outdoors sets that much in the film. In fact, they're quite brief. We've also got like plans here too, blueprints. Very interesting. As for the essays in the film, some of them, I haven't read all of them yet, some are a little dry, but the great one here from Andrei Bazin, a famous film critic who I know from film studies and his writings, he did a good essay on Italian neorealism, which was actually kind of interesting to read. But he's known for his book called What is Cinema? But yes, Andrei Bazin is a fan of the film. It's interesting to see what he has to say. And there's an essay in here from Louis Buñuel. Sorry if I got the name wrong there. But yes, he's a famous director, also surrealist filmmaker. He also did a little bit of writing on the film. Not very long, but interesting again to see what he says about the film. Then we have all the information about the versions of the film, with the Lo Duca version. And there are some differences, and I'll have to watch it at some point to see these differences. But apparently several shots were taken during the film. Different takes, that is. There's an example. You see there. One's the Lo Duca version, one's the original. So it shows you several examples of the shot differences. So that's definitely an interesting read in there. So yes, that is the... So yes, that is the 1928 film The Passion of Joan of Arc on Blu-Ray Steelbook from Masters of Cinema. I didn't say how well restored it is. There's a really good restoration example on the disc, which you can definitely see a difference. All the grains removed, and the image is sharper and fresher, and it's just fantastic. Masters of Cinema is just a brilliant way to watch silent films. It's also good to encourage people to look back at them more historically. And it seems that silent films are getting more and more discovery now, thanks to the internet and companies like this keeping the memory alive. Now that we can access films on YouTube and downloads and being able to buy things like this, it's made films very easy to access now. I know we have all the arguments of piracy, but at the same time, think of all the public domain silent cinemas that we're getting to discover. Went off on a bit of a tangent there. Anyway, yes, truly recommend this film and the box set. If you're ever going to watch it, definitely get this released. It's not too expensive, £12, £15, definitely worth it. So yes, that is my review of The Passion of Joan of Arc. So stay tuned for more